What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going over why I sold the GTR for my Camaro ZL1 1LE. Pretty funny that I have some comments saying that it's a downgrade, but they must not know much about this car and how much of an upgrade it is for power and performance and all that other stuff. But let's get into it. Without further ado, let's get a cold start. I will add in a little note, I like the hot starts better than the cold starts, and you'll see why. Alright guys, so here we are driving the ZL1 1LE. Time to go over some options, or reasons on why I sold the GTR for this car. So one, why I wanted to get rid of the GTR was getting bored driving it on the street. I was getting pretty bored driving it on the street. Everyone knows it's dual clutch. It was a ton of fun on the track. On the track, I love dual clutch. It's awesome, it's perfect. And so that was one thing. I wanted something to be a little bit more involved, such as a manual, which check on this. And another reason why I wanted to sell the GTR is because the values were tanking pretty bad. I had a 2012 Nissan GTR that I bought a few years used. I think I bought it in 2015, the very beginning of 2015. And Nissan just keeps making the damn car. So the values keep going down, even though they're not making them in high quantity or anything like that. They're still a pretty low amount, but they keep making them. And then, you have a brand new one for $100K, and then they have these $10,000 initiatives for them, and that just kind of trickles down to every previous year. So each year below that would take a hit just because of that, and it got terrible. So I saw my value going down, so I had to think, okay, do I keep the car, pay it off, whatever, or should I try to sell it right now while the value's okay, so I can get some good money back or some decent money back on it. So I thought, well, what's out right now that I could do that? Because I actually never really planned to get rid of the GTR. I didn't have any plan to sell it. When I first saw the ZL1 come out, I was like, that's a pretty cool car. It's really aggressive and it looks pretty badass, but it wasn't enough for me to actually say I should sell the GTR for that car. And then they came out with the 1LE, and I was like, that's a really cool looking car. That's very aggressive looking. And I still didn't really think about selling the GTR, wanting to get rid of the GTR for it. I just thought it's a cool car, whatever. And then once the numbers started coming out of what it could do and all this other stuff, it's manual only, and it's doing crazy lap times, and the suspension is really stiff on this car, by the way. Anyways, so I was like, that's got to be the car, especially for the price. I'm like, if you're able to get a price without a crazy markup, whatever. So that's another reason, was the values were tanking. I was getting bored with the car, except for on track, but I'm not tracking it all the time because it can get pretty pricey. And then I'm just going off the cuff here. This isn't going to be like a specific 10 reasons or anything like that. I'm just naming things off the top of my head on why I got rid of the car. Let's see. I guess you could say a small one would be exhaust noise. I really do not like the way that the GTR sounds. It sounds horrific stock, but even if I had full bolt-ons with no cats, and it sounded much better, but it wasn't great. Oh, we're stuck here. Anyways, so yeah, so I was like, you know what, I want manual again. GTR, bored, let's get manual, let's get something fun. So You know, the GTR isn't very, it puts up some pretty incredible numbers on the track for being what it is, a very heavy car. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't come very track focused regardless of that. And what I mean is, like, the brakes that come with it are pretty crappy. They're drilled rotors, and you don't want to track on drilled rotors. They crack like crazy, and you know, there was no air vents to cool down the brakes. If you didn't know, I burned my calipers on my GTR, the Brembo calipers. Those things, I toasted those things at Laguna Seca. The calipers actually change color. So because there's no air guiding to help cool them down, and that track is very punishing on cars. It does not like heavy cars. Oh my God. Anyways, if I remember, I'll show you. I still have the calipers. I replaced them. I replaced them with OEM ones that I bought from a buddy. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just wasn't very track focused. I wanted something more focused. And so far, I mean, this car kept checking off everything I was looking for. It's manual, track focused, has no heating issues. GTR would get very hot, and on the track, not really on the street. You don't have to worry about it on the street, but you know, this car is known to have not really any issues. There's haven't been any reported issues on any, you know, car company reviews, or, you know, Motor Trend reviews, Car and Driver, or whatever you want, whatever magazine. And then I think the nail in the coffin is one of my buddies has the 17 ZL1, and we did like a quick roll race from like second gear. He pulled on me pretty hard, and you know, his car was stock except for a Rotofab intake, you know, with a 93 octane, and he pulled on me hard. I was like, whoa, that car has a lot of torque. I was like, maybe it's time to move up to some more aggressive. So I mean, and some people wonder why I didn't get the GT350R, but then I feel like I'm getting away from why I got rid of the Nissan. So maybe that'll be in a different video. So anyways, another reason why I got rid of the GTR is because I thought, you know, if I took all the parts off, made it stock again, sold all the parts, which I did, my wing, the aero, all that stuff, get my money back on that, or not get it back, because obviously I'm going to lose money, but, you know, get some cash back, like, you know, sold my wheels, sold everything. I mean, I probably got like over 10 grand, 12 grand for all that stuff back. Then sold the car, got an additional, you know, money on top of that. I was like, I can just throw the money from my equity on the GTR into the ZL1 1LE, and it has everything I want. It's manual, it has all the aero that I had for the GTR, you know, the canards, the wing, the big old splitter on the bumper, things like that. So I just thought this would be a great way to gain some money back, and then have a car that has all that stuff from factory instead of having to buy it for the car. And I know everyone's not a fan of the wing, but I mean, it's functional. I understand why people don't like it. I guess it has a bad rap with some ricer cars or things like that, but it works, because you don't see wicker bills or anything like that on the, you know, GT Le Mans cars. Let's get some revs in, because I know some people are probably going to want to see some revs with the car. This car sounds amazing stock. Alright, so I will note that that the car is still breaking in. I just have a little over 400 miles, so it's kind of limiting me to a like 4,000 RPM rev. So you're not getting like the full caboose. But right here I want to show you why I kind of like the hot starts more than the cold starts, is because you get a little bit more pops with the warm or hot start, I should say. So I'll start it up right now. Wasn't too many that time, but let's get back in the car. All right, let's get going again. You know what? Let's down this way. I haven't gone down this road. If you didn't know, I mean, Pratt & Miller co-designed that wing, which is, you know, the race partner with Chevrolet for the Le Mans. So when you see the C7Rs, that's Pratt & Miller wing. So it's a legit wing. And then the suspension is made by Multimatic, a Canadian company that makes the suspension for the, or I should say the dampers, whatever, for F1. So it's a very serious company. They make them for the new Ford GT, and then they make them for this car. So it's a very track-focused car. If you go in the menu where you can do engine management and steering management, like if you want it in track mode all the time with sounds and feels and stuff, there's nothing for the suspension. It's just full-on stiff all the time.
That's what she said.
There's a bridge over here. Let's drive under and make some noise. There it is. This car's stupid. So anyway, so yeah, there's just a few reasons why. I wanted to drive stick. I wanted a more track-focused car. I love the sound of this V8. I really like the aggressive front end you get on this car. I thought it's much more aggressive than what I had on my GTR. You know, GTR is an old platform, basically a 2007 platform, a little over 10 years old, because that's when they were making them for the 2008 models in Japan and Europe and whatever, and then, you know, we got them in 2009. It's basically a 10-year-old platform, and yeah, they've improved on it to a certain point, I would say, until 2013. After 2013, GTR just started going downhill because they had so much body roll and the suspension getting softer, and it's just, I don't know, it just wasn't the car for me anymore, I guess, or I just wanted to try something different, although I'm not the type of person to go through too many cars. So, I don't know, I thought it was just time for change, and I'm really happy with what I got here. And at first I really didn't like this interior. There's still a couple parts I don't like, but all the Alcantara and the Recaro seats that hug you a lot better than the GTR is just, it's actually pretty nice. It's not bad. These are pretty decent seats. These do hug you better than what in my premium GTR. And then I'll probably make another video of, you know, whatever, just driving around, impressions and stuff like that about this car, and talk about how stiff the suspension is. It's pretty ridiculous how stiff this thing is.
That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Good one.
Certain freeways, this car was just like non-stop for like 5 minutes. It's pretty bad. But, you know, obviously it's good for track. Oh, I planned to also make a video of just like all exhaust noises with this car, like stock, maybe before I upgrade it or do something different. Oh, avoid that. So, oh, Prius. What the heck? This car grips, by the way. I mean, 305 fronts. Oh yeah, also the GTR came with some pretty crappy tires from factory. These tires are honestly basically slicks with some grooves in them. So that's another reason why, is just this car is so track focused. It's all about performance with this car, and I love bang for buck performances is what I can afford, so that's why I bought the GTR used, because that's what I could afford at the time. And then I got this car actually $5,000 under MSRP. which is pretty good because there are markups on this car. So I guess I got a little ahead of the curve when it comes to, you know, the value going down over time. So it shouldn't be as big of a hit as the GTR. This car is so easy to drive. I love it. And it makes really cool noises. I'm loving the noises from this car. I do miss my blow-off sound though. I'll admit that. The thing I really did like about the GTR though is for instance, I drove that car from where I live in Irvine to Laguna Seca. That was like a 6-hour drive-ish. Probably a little bit more than that. I drove it there, tracked it, drove it back. There's no way I'm doing that with this car. The suspension would kill my back. So that was a pretty cool thing about the GTR. I was able to do that. Right now I have 419 miles, so I have quite a bit until break-in. Break-in's 1,500, but I plan on changing the oil at 500 and then again at 1,500. All the break-in oils, usually the worst. There's probably so much metal shavings in break-in oil. This is my first brand new car too. I've never bought a brand new car. I usually just buy used, so I don't take the hit on value right up front. But I thought I got a pretty good deal on this, so there's no way I could say no. Anyways, I'm gonna end it. It's probably getting pretty long right now, so I'll make another video of, you know, the review and driving impressions and whatever you guys want to see. Just let me know. Leave a comment on what you'd like to see about the ZL1, and I'll do what I can to address it. Like what you want me to focus on when it comes to filming or talking about. That's all. Anyways, thanks for, I guess, if you stayed to the end, thank you. Appreciate it. I know this is gonna get a little long. I'll try to cut it a little shorter because I think I'm probably past like 15 minutes or something like that. But thanks for watching. I'll have more videos with this car. I plan to have a ton of videos with it. I still need to paint correct it. Need to make a video about that. But I just wanted to get this video out. Just because I know this is probably the first, well, maybe not the first video you'd like to see after I showed what car I bought.